Hi, it's Ben from My Cycling Coach. I hope you're well and that you're having a great day. So I wanted to do a video on the page today as I've been getting a lot of questions from cyclists who are currently doing interval training sessions, which is absolutely fantastic. They want to improve their FTP or power, fitness on the bike, so they can, climb faster, be able to improve their average speeds. But one thing they're finding is obviously these interval sessions, they do require you to, ride at quite a high intensity. And because of this, these sessions can then obviously be as psychologically demanding as they can be physiologically demanding. So I thought I'd do 3 tips on the page today just to help sort of really push through and allow you to complete these interval sessions so that you can really hit those target intensities that you're being required to ride at, so that you can continue improving your power, fitness as part of these sessions. So the first tip is to really ensure that you're fueling enough before doing these sort of real taxing, intense sessions. You will obviously be required to tax that anaerobic energy system as part of these sessions if you are doing, some threshold efforts or some VO2 max work. So it's absolutely crucial that you do fuel with some carbohydrates prior to the session, so that you do have those sort of muscle and liver glycogen stores really well topped up, and a good amount of fuel available to be able to complete the set of intervals that you have. But also the fueling then during the session itself, you can do a real good job, prior to the session, your pre-ride fueling. But if you've got quite a few intervals complete as part of that session, it might be 5, 6, 7, or even 8 intervals that you're doing, and you're finding that you're managing to complete, let's say, the first 3 or 4 okay, but then as you get to the end of the session, you find that you are then struggling to really hit those target powers, wattages, or sustain the heart rates. This could be down then to the during ride fueling, so I would really recommend that as part of these tough sessions you're also taking in some carbohydrate into the session. One of the most effective ways to really top up those muscle and liver glycogen stores during the session is by having a carbohydrate mix in your bottle, as this is a lot easier to then digest. Obviously, when you're doing these harder sessions, the last thing you want to be doing is trying to eat an energy bar when you're breathing heavily, or even a gel can be quite hard to stomach and digest as part of these higher intensity sessions. So a carbohydrate mix in your bottle is a really good way to keep those carbs coming in during the session and allow you to really sustain that power output and hit those target intervals during the latter part of the session as well. Tip number 2 then is to really try to focus on your breathing, but also getting a rhythm with your cadence and technique. A lot of cyclists, I find, or I've experienced this obviously myself as well, we can sort of get very tight and tense when we're trying to perform intervals, and as a result of this, we will then often forget about our breathing. And this will then obviously have a real detrimental effect on performance, as you are starving the body of oxygen. The muscles are obviously not getting enough oxygen. That oxygen is not getting transported out to the periphery or enough to those working muscles. Also the brain as well, which is when we can then start to feel, if the session is getting tougher, if the brain is also being starved of oxygen, we can then start to really think, I don't know if I'm going to complete this. So really focusing on your breathing, having a good rhythm with this, keeping that good flow of oxygen coming in is absolutely crucial. Not only, as I say, to really help the body physiologically with getting that oxygen out to the periphery, but also psychologically as well, to keep a nice clear mind during these sessions. With your cadence and a rhythm with your pedaling then also crucial. You don't want to get caught out, trying to grind out those intervals too much unless you are doing any sort of real specific torque work. And at the same time, you don't want to be sort of spinning too much so that you're not producing any power at all. So, as a ballpark figure, a cadence of 80 to 90 RPM when you're doing the efforts themselves is a real good sort of efficient pedaling cadence there, which will allow you to really target that power, but then also keep a nice rhythm with it as well, and help you relax as part of that interval. Tip number 3 then is to really ensure that before maybe the day before doing these harder sessions, your interval sessions, is to really just try to have an easier day. Speak to a lot of cyclists, where they position these sort of their harder interval sessions in the week can sometimes be in the wrong place, and they may be doing these sessions after doing longer rides, or they may have done quite a few days of riding, and then they'll try to do their intervals at the end of sort of a 2-3 day period of riding. So really try to have your interval session where you are at your freshest during the week. So this will obviously depend on your schedule, your training program, if you have got one. You know, ideally you want to maybe have a day off or just a real easy recovery ride the day before going into doing your bigger session or your harder interval sessions during the week, as this will then allow you to just go into that session with fresher legs and be able to then really target those power outputs and really sustain those intensities, which you want to be accumulating as much time in those specific zones that you're targeting as part of your intervals, as this is what is really going to allow you to make those sort of rapid gains in your power, fitness, FTP. So yeah, quick one there today, guys, to help you sort of really push through those sessions. First tip there was just fueling. Make sure you're fueling. Second tip was your breathing and just that cadence, getting a rhythm there. And the third tip is just looking at where you position your interval sessions during the week to make sure that you are going into them as fresh as possible. Hope you found this video useful, guys. As always, if you did, please drop a like on the post. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Feel free to follow, share, subscribe, and any comments, as always, would love to hear from you. Have a great rest of your day, enjoy your riding, and speak soon.